Welcome to the OddsBreakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 66 of 2025. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us the OddsBreakers. Follow us on social media / the OddsBreakers. This episode is being brought to you by this season. For the largest sports contest in all the land, please visit www.theszn.com/OB for a 20% discount. Terms, conditions, and location apply. If you'd like to support the OddsBreakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any. For winning cappers, get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com if nothing else. Please visit the OddsBreakers and become a free picks and a Telegram subscriber. Lots going on in the football world, my friends. That's why we're rolling here, having two football podcasts and a recap podcast every single week. There's going to be some changes here at the OddsBreakers. We're going to be switching podcast hosts, so we're actually might be able to bring you more content throughout the week, and even during the off season, we're going to try to bring you more content, and not just football, some other sports as well. So stay tuned for that. But this show is all dedicated to college football because we have a wonderful guest from Doc Sports, Mr. Tony George, one of the most experienced cappers that I know. The man's been doing it since the early 90s. Formerly on ESPN, Tony George, even though he's a Chiefs fan, still a really great guy, you know. Chiefs and Nebraska fan. He never doesn't let me forget that. And I'm really excited to get into some college football with him because there's still a lot of great games. We made some great bets. Mostly the lines moved with us. A couple didn't. You know, I'm kind of looking at it and wondering why, but at the same time, I still like my side. So that's going to happen, and we're going to give you some of those free plays, and hopefully we'll hit our free plays better this week and our premium plays. But as you know here, all of our free plays have been premium plays anyway, whether the line moved a half point or so, or if I still think there's value, I will definitely give it out. And we're going to talk about all that with Tony George. And before Tony George comes on, want to remind you that you can cash with us too. Had a wonderful 12-unit weekend. Going to keep it rolling here. Still discount codes are live all the way through September 15th. Football 25. Get our football package $100 off, or any monthly package for half off. It's still going on at the OddsBreakers, and feel free to delve into that if you want to partner with us and benefit from our premium plays. But otherwise, I'm happy as heck just to give you free plays, and hopefully they hit. We're going to keep our free play going as well on our free subscriber play. You can just sign up for free as a subscriber to the website and get that every once in a while. We're at least 55% on that, so that's doing really well. And any other ways that we can help you, please let us know. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers. We're also looking for talent here. If you want to start capping and want to talk a little bit about sports with us and maybe start putting out some articles or podcasting, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll love to talk to you and help you along the way. All right. Well, without further ado, it's time to bring on our wonderful guest, Mr. Tony George from Doc Sports. Hey, folks, big opportunity here. The OddsBreakers has partnered with the Optimus Prime crypto options trading platform and the Apex Alliance Club. How it works is that the Apex Alliance Club runs an AI-based algorithm that guarantees the trades that they give you. And that's how you get such a big income right away. And throughout the first 2 months, you can literally double your money. The greatest thing about this opportunity is it's completely safe. They give you $1,000 just to try it out. Once you make some profit, they take it back and you decide to make your first investment. Make sure you get some info on this by emailing us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. The Apex Alliance Club and the Optimus Prime crypto trading platform is a Coinbase and a Crypto.com friendly company. And now I'm very excited to bring in one of the most respected handicappers in all of the country, Mr. Tony George from DocSports.com. You can follow Tony on X at TGeorgeSports. Tony, it's great seeing you 2 weeks ago in Vegas, my man. How's your liver? How's your liver doing?
My liver's recovered. It took a minute. We tried to see if we could. I tried to see if I could drink the Legacy Club out of bourbon, and the Legacy Club won.
They always do.
I forgot what you were drinking. I know I was buying a bunch, but I forgot what you were drinking.
I liked your bourbon drink. Seven water and bourbon. That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
And that's
there we go.
I go to it sometimes here too. It's a great drink, and that was an absolutely great time in Vegas, and such a fun weekend to go, my man. But here we are, college football already, week 3, just rolling around. That's scary to me. It's like almost a quarter way through. What? Come on, man. How does time fly this fast? College football is such a short season, yet you at least get bowl season and some extended playoffs to bring you into January. So I guess, regular season wise, it's shorter. But, speaking about the season, I always like to talk to cappers about who they have in their top 4. Just looking for the way people are thinking. Normally this time of year is like people have SEC in there. What's your top 4 looking like?
You got to stick Ohio State in there. Big Ten people. I was impressed with Oregon last week. Is Oklahoma State just that bad, or has Oregon got another team that's going to contend for a Big Ten title this year? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I think Georgia's in there. I was thinking the way Clemson, tore up LSU or beginning of the year, I was high on Clemson. Now I'm not. Interesting to see what Miami's going to do this week. They got South Florida. I think Beck played as good a game as he's played in 2 years in that opener against Notre Dame. They look good on both sides of the ball. Cristobal has never been my favorite coach, but I thought they could, and especially after seeing Clemson down 16-0 last week to Troy, I'm thinking maybe Miami's a team to beat in the ACC. So you got to kind of look at the teams to beat in the ACC. Then the Power 4 conferences, the top 4 teams in each one of those conferences. The problem is the Big 12, you don't know who the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's talking Arizona State or Kansas State. Well, how'd they do last week? I mean, and K-State's got 2 losses now. So you got to take a look at those. I think 2 of them, in my opinion, at least power rated wise, Penn State's number 1. I got Ohio State in there. I've got Georgia. The 4th place team's up for grabs. Maybe Miami. I don't know if do you think the Big 12 has a team that can get into the top 4 right now? I mean, if you look at power rankings, you really can't make an argument.
Right. I mean, thing with me is it's hard for me right now to get an SEC team up there. I do have LSU as 4, but how do you not have Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon in the top 3?
Yeah.
How do you not have that? It's just a situation where I mean, they've blown out competition enough. I mean, well, first of all, Ohio State played Texas, which was the number 1 team. So you have to give, blow it out or not. That's one of the toughest, schedules. And Penn State hasn't done anything wrong yet. Now, Penn State was a preseason top for many people, and he was up there for me too. But, I had to downgrade a few SEC teams, and I brought a few up. I brought LSU up. I brought Notre Dame down a little bit. So I think you just try to be fair, and you try not to have bias in these situations, especially when you're trying to handicap these games. But let's move on to the next question.
Well, let me ask you a question about Notre Dame, though. After what we saw, should they be hanging 7 on A&M?
I don't know, because I don't like what I saw from A&M against Virginia Tech.
I don't see. You say we're a quarter way through the season. Who's your top team? I don't know.
It's a tough cap because CJ Carr only has 1 data point, and it was away. It's like, I'm sure maybe he can rebound at home, but he's still a rookie. He's still first-year starter. It's not, and he's playing against Marcel Reed. Yeah, and he's healthy. He's going to play. Yeah. From what I saw, and I think that we saw more of him. I kind of trust him, but at the same time, how do you trust a team that was 3-12 against the spread under the coach, under the new coach,
Yeah, and there's 4 teams in the SEC that are hovering around the top that you're going to find out about this week. Florida, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, they're all playing each other. You're going to find out some stuff. I mean, it's going to shake out a little bit this weekend. I mean, Florida kind of shook itself out last week a little bit, looking ahead, not preparing for a game, or do you come up with the thought process that why in the hell is South Florida getting 17 against Miami?
Yeah.
So there's so many question marks, which is why my volume is so low, and I'm going to those mid-tier games this week for premium plays.
Right. And that's it. And so when you see that big spread, that the history says that this is a bad spot for South Florida, right? And that's the creative part about college football. It's just so much different than any other sport, and that's what I love about it as well.
Though, I brought up this point. I was doing a post-mortem show. I do Vegas Beat over on our Ducks YouTube channel, and what Scott Spreitzer and I, and Scott, we hung out together and had some drinks there in Vegas a couple weeks ago with Scott, Las Vegas legend. I do this show. We were talking about it, and I said, usually, like if we were doing this show last week, I would say you probably want to fade South Florida. They're off a huge win where they were an underdog. Now they were only 5.5-point underdog and they were home. And I thought, well, the game, it wasn't like they won the Boise State game at the last second. It was a huge emotional win. That game was never in doubt. They beat them from first quarter to fourth quarter. Right. They beat them. They were the better team. So you think, well, still it's going to be a little bit of a letdown spot. How good a coach is this? When you just beat the number 25 team in the country and your program pretty much in the power rankings and in the national media is left for dead on the side of the road like old Shep, and then you go on the road as a 16-point underdog, you play the number 13 team in the country the very next week, and you beat them. I mean, that's a hell of a job of coaching, put it that way. Can he do it 3 weeks in a row? If he does, kick Penn State out and Ohio State at number 1, number 2, and put South Florida in there is all I'm going to tell you.
I mean, you gotta. And I think South Florida is in the lead for the group of 5 for sure, but they have a tough schedule because I think it's coming out of the American. I kind of picked Navy, but it wouldn't shock me if it was South Florida or Tulane. Probably not UTSA no more, but I'm kind of looking at that. Speaking of teams that are rated, what about buy low, sell high? I kind of like doing that little exercise, and sometimes it tells us what we're betting on this week, and sometimes it tells us what we're going to bet on in 2 weeks. But like for now, I'm going to sell a little high on Illinois. They got their deal done, and I had them as a 5 to 6 point favorite in Duke, and that's why I didn't jump on the Duke bandwagon. But now they're in a kind of a flat spot. I didn't bet Western Michigan yet because I'm going to wait to the last minute and see where that market goes. But man, it's a spot that's not great for them because they have at Indiana on deck, sandwiched between this.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, man, I think that the public will jump on Illinois, maybe just enough to move that to 28, George. So that's my sell high.
Well, you sent me this via email, and right there, I'm going to sell on South Florida this week, and I'm going to also sell on Illinois. Bear in mind, in that Duke game, Duke had 5 turnovers.
Mensa made it easy.
That was a good ball game, but Duke gave it away. But Illinois still is in the conversation, in my mind, of a team that could compete and get in the Big Ten title game. Because their schedule sets up, real nice down the stretch. They avoid a couple of monsters on their schedule in the Big Ten. But that being said, the Indiana game on deck, coming off a big road win where they were perceived to be an underdog, you're looking to get out of this game healthy. If that goes to 4 scores, I would take the points.
Absolutely. I get it, man. And that's what we look for here. I'm waiting for more public to hopefully bring that down to 17 again. I could have got the 16 and a half. I hesitated with Miami. So I get you on that one.
Well, I think South Florida is just a team that now you had that, as I alluded to the first game against Boise State, they didn't really lose their focus because they just kicked their ass. Now, this last game was a huge upset and emotion. And then you got to take a look at their depth and playing a team like an SEC team like Florida, and then turn around and playing the best team in the ACC. Right? I mean, that's a tough ask for little depth. Their quarterback is good. He threw for like 260 some yards against Florida, which, a team like that just shouldn't go play an SEC team on the road and run it for over 100 yards, rack up 300, almost 400 yards, and throw it for 360. But now you're asking 3 weeks in a row.
Absolutely. Buy low, I'm going to go with TCU. And it's not this week. It might be next week. I thought they were pretty impressive at North Carolina. This coach, Sonny Dykes, has a championship-type tenure, going to the playoffs, almost, playing against Michigan, right? Beating Michigan in the playoffs the year before Michigan won. Yeah, this is a team that's fierce, and I think I might have been wrong about Baylor. I don't know yet. We still can play out. But I'm considering taking them in the future, and I'm also considering being on them in the week or two, when they kind of come back. So, I mean, I think that I'm a little ahead of the market in that. And to be honest with you, I would love to say, some other teams right now, but I think you got to be careful when you say a team like Utah, because everybody's talking about Utah. I want to say Utah, but I'm wondering am I really buying low on them after what they did to UCLA? UCLA has proven pretty bad ever since that game as well. Maybe Alabama's buying low against my Badgers. We're going to find out. But Simpson didn't look great to me either. So, lots of things to consider. Let's move on to our 6-pack of games, my friend. And we'll start with a game that you picked. And this could have been a buy low team for me. Vanderbilt versus South Carolina. And South Carolina is now down to 4.5, my friend.
We're losing value on that. I bet this at 5.5 with Vandy. These two have a common opponent, Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
South Carolina had them at home and won 24-11. Now, Vanderbilt, I don't know if those of you watching, if you've ever been to Blacksburg to a game. I have. I went to a Nebraska game up there because I wanted to experience it. I wanted to see what this whole stadium shaking, moving, and we went out there years ago. I believe Pelini was coaching. Anyway, that's no joke. Vandy goes in there and hangs 44 on them as a 2-point underdog and win by 24 points. I'm not sold on Sellers at quarterback for South Carolina yet. I don't think the Mike Shula hire, an offensive coordinator, has paid any dividends for him yet. And I am sold on Diego Pavia for Vandy at quarterback. The guy's a playmaker. I'm going to grab the points now. This is going to go to 4. But I got him at 5.5 on an opener. So I'd take Vandy in that game.
Yeah, I took Vandy at 7.5 there, Tony. Sorry, I gotta pat myself in the back a little bit, but whenever T. George comes on, he gets a little competitive with me. So I gotta brag about it a little. No, I mean, to be honest with you, it's like, what point do I buy back? I'm not buying back because here's the thing: I know what I'm getting with Pavia. I know what I'm getting with that coach over there, and I know what I'm getting with South Carolina. Because both quarterbacks played last year. This is also a revenge spot for Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt lost at home after their big win against Auburn last year. It's kind of a letdown spot, but they remember it,
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a spot for Vanderbilt, and my number's 1.5. If it got to pick them, that'd only be the chance that I'd buy back. Lenora Sellers is a beast. Don't get me wrong. But, he's going to have to do it with his legs. And I think that if there's any quarterback you want to be on as a comeback kid, it's Pavia, man. If you're down 10, if you're down by 10 points, you can almost assure that this thing's going to 3, and then South Carolina might run the clock out. I think this is a definite case where you bet on Vandy, and I agree with you. And if it was like new quarterbacks and I had this line value, maybe I would buy back and not completely trust my rankings due to the variance. But no, this one I'm sticking with it all the way through and through. Let's move on to another game. Florida versus LSU, and LSU minus 9.5, total 48.5. One might think that this is a huge get-up spot for the Gators, as they just had an embarrassing loss against South Florida. But, man, this is Sunbelt Billy. This is that man, and he is not good in these situations or others because we've seen this team tank 2, 3, 4 games in a row. And LSU, when they played Clemson, they should have beat them by more. There's terrible things going on in that game. But the Tigers, they looked great from a defensive side. That's what really impressed me. And last week was against the LA Tech boys. They let them have their shine and they played with them a little bit. And this was like a 60% effort from them. And that's why all the sharp money was on LA Tech. And I picked them for a contest too, and one of them. And I agreed with all that. But over the last 6 matchups in this, LSU's covered 5. They won and covered 5 against LSU. They finally lost last year in a bad spot in mid-November after a slew of injuries. And LSU still outgained them. They outgained them that game. They're at home. The only reason this number's not bigger is because LSU did fall asleep last week. My power rating's 13.5. I know the look ahead was 7.5. But the Tigers are in a revenge spot too. I laid 9.5. It's at 7.5 now. I'd say do it.
Well, if South Florida could throw for 263 against them in the swamp, what's Nussmeier going to do? I mean,
it's tough in the swamp. But now they're in Tiger Stadium. That now they're in Death Valley. Much big difference. Yeah. So Duke versus Tulane is one you picked, and I love the storyline. And I won't steal your thunder. Why don't you tell us the storyline?
No, that's all right, Mintz. The quarterback for Tulane last year, stud, playing for Duke. Duke was beaten last week soundly on the scoreboard. You look at the numbers; it wasn't nearly that far apart. They were in that game. They turned it over like crazy. Tulane had a win over Northwestern, who's the bottom feeder in the Big Ten this year, 23-3. Tulane was a loss I had last week in college football. I had them laying 10.5 in that game against South Alabama. They had a 33-17 lead in the fourth quarter and blew it and won 33-31. But all things being equal, I've got Duke -5 in power ratings here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Duke. It went from a plus to a -1. They were at a plus number to open up in this one, but Tulane's not the same Tulane team. Their defense is suspect. I like Manny Diaz coaching these guys off a loss too. I think they'll go down there, and their quarterback's going to have something to say. He'll want to make a statement in a pick-em ball game. Money line them, keep the one out of it. Maybe it's a 24-23 game. It ought to be a good game, but I'll take Duke here.
How freaking bad is Northwestern, man? That's the question.
Oh, they're horrible.
They are horrible.
They're horrible.
They're
horrible.
The spot screams Mensa and Duke after what happened last week. The spot screams it, and my number's 3.5. I got Duke favorite.
Yeah, mine's 5. I know it's on the road, but when have we heard about Tulane having this monster home field advantage? They really don't. You got to go play on the road, but it's not like you're playing at the Shoe or the Big House or, Lincoln or Madison, where it's a rabid crowd going ape shit on you. No, it's Tulane. No. Trust me. I think Duke gets them. I think it's that'd be a full 1 unit play for me. That's not a pizza money bet.
It's going to be, I'm waiting for it. I think more Tulane money might come in. It's such a weird line. It's almost a little scary to me, but I mean, I can't see how Mensa can go back to the place that he left and lay an egg. I think they fixed some of the stuff that they did from last year. I didn't bet it yet, but it's definitely on my radar, my friend. So
they laid an egg. They laid their egg last week.
Exactly. They did lay their egg terribly against Illinois last week. And,
I like to go against
and the books
good
know
team.
the books know people don't want to bet it again. The books know that. It's not like Tulane was great at South Alabama last week where they
sucked.
Won by 2 freaking points.
Yeah.
And
they beat up Northwestern, who can't, stop grandma at Costco with a shopping cart. I mean, they're not Northwestern's liable to get 2-3 wins this year, maybe. Probably not more than 2. Who they got to beat in the Big Ten? I haven't looked at their schedule. I didn't do a deep dive on them, but they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Well, here we are. This is going to be a fun game. And, it's too early for numbers because power ratings like Tulane, but, that's just, it's hard to trust that, especially I think people needed to downgrade Tulane a little bit more last year. And look at Kanaki coming in. Graham Mertz is better than Lagway. I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't know about that, Sean, but, well, that's going to be a fun game to watch, though. Even Sagarin has Tulane a little bit ahead of Duke. And I just, the question is, there's a lot of people betting on South Alabama. And it's like, well, you better hope Tulane was good because South Alabama, that little darling this week against Auburn, because Auburn you think is in a look ahead. Look aheads don't happen always this early. It's not like they're coming off a big win right now. Their big win was week 1. It's too early for look aheads if it's not sandwiched, right? So I'm not falling for the South Alabama stuff against Auburn. I'm not touching it. If anything, it's Auburn for me, and we can maybe get to that in the hodgepodge. FAU versus FIU is that massive game, buddy, that I picked to cover with my good pal Tony George. This is 2.5 total, 58.5. Tony, I'll tell you this, man. If you know me, it's about totals in this game. This is under the radar, but I love it. These defenses are trash. Honestly,
horrible.
Just horrible. FAU and Maryland could have just kept scoring when they played. But here's the thing. They play extremely fast. They are number 1 this year in tempo at 20.87 seconds in between plays, Tony. This causes a lot of possessions and a hell of a lot of scoring. At FIU, they used to play at a snail's pace. But since hiring coach Willie Simmons, he's picked up the pace. He was at Duke last year, and they're 28th in pace. He was the running backs coach in Duke. Last season, the Owls gave up 30.8 points per game. FIU only returns 1 defensive player from 2024. This is going way over the total. Over 58.5 is the play, my friend. I like this.
No argument.
I like
no
this.
argument. FAU has owned that series. They're 7-0 straight up against the spread last 7 years.
Yep. Without a doubt. Air Force versus Utah State. I have a play on this, Tony, and I didn't want to tell you what it was before, so let's see if we line up or go against Utah State plus 4.5, total 51.5, my friend.
I'm going to take Air Force off a bye week. Utah State coming off that Texas A&M game that had to wear them down. They played UTEP. UTEP, first week of the season, I took UTEP in that game plus the 6.5. I like their new coach, and they had a bunch of transfers in there. They just couldn't get on the same page in that game for whatever reason. But Utah State did not play a great game against UTEP, and you didn't need to because UTEP pretty much helped them. I think they're playing Texas this week. Good luck there. But at the end of the day, that triple option. One thing about the armed forces, you never worry about the portal and nil money because they keep all their players. And I like Air Force's triple option attack against a team that had to play an SEC team on the road last week. So I'm going to say Air Force by a touchdown.
Air Force by a touchdown.
Your pick is
Utah State.
You like Bronco? Bronco Mendenhall?
I like Bronco Mendenhall against triple option teams. He's always done well in the past.
New Mexico, wasn't he down there?
He was down there. He was also in San Diego State. You remember. Yeah, he's done quite well against triple option teams in the past. Now, I don't love Utah State. Here's the thing. They're coming off the Aggies game, but it was so early in the season. When you play against better players, it almost gives you a bump, the way I look at it. Air Force was too early for a bye. They haven't played an FBS opponent. You know, I hate those early buys with the option teams. There's a couple things that sharp money's coming in on Utah State a little bit.
I can see why.
Yeah, and you know what? I could be wrong. And here's the thing: that's not always the number. I'm high on Air Force. I bet over their season win total, Tony. But you know what?
So
I'm fine with Air Force running the ball and winning by 3 points. I just think the spread's a little high for a team that can backdoor like Utah State. Utah State's 2-0 already against the spread. That's my bet. But you know what? This is good. It's good to have a disagreement. People are not know we're bullshit. We actually come into this thing without discussing, and we give our real honest opinions. So it's great that you did that, and me too. I hope
we said it. We said at the Mega Bar at Cirque in Vegas and argued for a solid hour about almost every game.
Yeah, don't bring up our Badgers and Nebraska Cornhuskers. That'll be too long. All right, let's move on to the next game.
I hope we're catching points against Michigan. I can tell you that.
Oh, I hope so too. Actually,
I'm going up to that game. Nebraska.
You have
Michigan.
to.
I'm still in Kansas City. I'm headed back out to Vegas next month for about a month, but I'm still here. I'm going to catch that game. Let me tell you one thing about Michigan. You want to talk about selling or buying? I'm selling them. That quarterback looked like he was 18 years old. They got some problems there. They're going to have a big learning curve this year. Oklahoma, good team, not a great team. Mateer, solid quarterback. But although the score didn't show it, Michigan was really never in that game. And if Nebraska's ever going to have a chance to beat him, it's going to be this year.
Yep. I like Nebraska this year. I don't love them, but they get an outside shot at making the playoffs. You know, I've been on your back a little bit for Nebraska. I like Raiola a bit, so you know we'll see how long this.
He looks a lot better this year, doesn't he?
He should. He should. You know, he had that extra year.
He looked like Michigan's quarterback looked like him last year.
Yeah.
Like deer in the headlights, running, forcing passes, or just going down. You know, not going through his checks. And Nebraska's got a lot better offensive line this year too, which is helping the young kid. But I'm hoping. I don't know what that line's going to be, but I'm hoping to see them catching 3 or so in Lincoln. That'd be fun.
Yep, and that's how it is. Let's move on to the next game. Clemson versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech plus 3.5, total 53.5. I got a way better number. I got this last week at 7.5, but I'm not budging because if you remember, Tony, I've been talking shit about this game since freaking May. I think Georgia Tech takes them. I think Georgia Tech is the team that has the easiest schedule. They don't play Miami this year. They don't play Florida State this year. They don't play SMU this year. I think they're in the title game, even if they lose this game. But here we are. Clemson looking like dog shit to start the season. And they could have lost to Troy, you know.
They should have lost to Troy.
Probably. They got a little home loving in there, you know. I'm not going away from this. You know that Haynes King sat out last week just to rest, and he was a little banged up from Colorado. But this thing, look ahead or not, the market adjusts. I don't care if the look ahead was 9.5. This is it's a wrong adjustment. How do you adjust Florida State? How'd you adjust Florida State 2 years ago when you had to take them down from like the second best team to freaking dog crap? You got to
worst teams in football.
You got to make your adjustments. Now we'll get to maybe Tennessee, Georgia. That could be a different story. But look, this is a team that returned a ton of production in Georgia Tech. In week one, they spotted Colorado 7 points and gave them 3 turnovers and still covered the game in Boulder. That's a very impressive thing, you know. Hopefully their turnovers are out of their system. But Clemson, on the other hand, should have lost by more to LSU. Terrible start against Troy. There's 2 glaring problems with the Tigers, Tony. A, they can't run the football. Their running game is terrible. And they're dead even in yards per play, which should be more since you played Troy. And the other issue is they can't stop the run. They rank 51st in the point rate, and that's what Haynes King does. He doesn't read options.
I think it's a mismatch, honestly. I think GT gets them by 10. And what? Let me tell you something. They're not a Clemson Tiger fan watching this show that doesn't miss Will Shipley, because that boy was all-world running back for them, and he gone, and they got nobody to replace him. And I don't know whether they just got shitty running backs or their offensive line is just dog crap, but they can't move the ball. They can't move the chains. They cannot sustain a drive. And when you can't run the ball, you can't establish any rhythm. And so offensively, they can't get. I think Georgia Tech's the play here. That might be right now. That's circled to be on one of my premium card.
Yeah, absolutely, it is for me. And I'm
sorry. I'm giving. If you're buying my package, you're buying 4 plays Saturday. That's probably that's one that's already written up. So, I wasn't going to say anything, but I couldn't help myself.
Absolutely, man. This is going to be a fun weekend because of just these big games. We got to talk Tennessee, Georgia. I'm not going to lie. I saw this line on Sunday at 7 still, and I had to grab it without even making a cap on it because I know people are betting Tennessee. I know this thing's going down. It went all the way down to 3.5. I think some sharp money pushed it back to 4. Here's a couple problems that I have with this game, and I haven't decided if I want to buy back Tony. Problem A is that Tennessee's been owned by Georgia. Kirby Smart has owned Heupel 8 times, blowouts. Problem B. If you like the Georgia side, they do get their linemen back. They probably were playing possum and cup, just hiding out the last 2 shitty games they had. But this is also the freshman quarterback on the road, like we just saw with Michigan. Freshman first. Now, did he play in the playoffs? Yeah, he had to play in the playoffs. Didn't look good last year against Notre Dame, but that was a neutral environment. This is his first true road game. You do not bet on quarterbacks in their first true road game. So I'm really torn what to do here. I'm not going to lie. My numbers actually say Tennessee all the way down to freaking almost 0 probably. I don't know how good Georgia is. I think their defense is good. I think they're playing possum. I know Kirby Smart's got the coaching advantage. I think under's the play, Tony, to be honest with you. I think under's the play.
I agree. I mean, I circled that one, but I had total written on it, under.
Yeah. It's just I think so.
You got a freshman quarterback. It's like a rookie quarterback in the NFL. How'd they do this week? McCarthy, consider him a rookie, sophomore rookie. Cam Ward. I'm going to go down the list of rookie quarter. Anytime you got a rookie quarterback in the NFL, you want to fade him on the road. It's kind of the same thing in college. You got a true freshman quarterback. And yes, Georgia gets 5-star recruits. I understand that. Okay?
We all understand
Georgia,
that.
Alabama, used to be back in the day, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Well, Nebraska has one. And by the way, his first road game last year, he sucked. So I'm just saying that's a fade spot. And
I'm locking this in. I'm locking this under right now.
I don't think Tennessee's that high powered either this year. Not as they have been in the past right now. I think that as far as I'm concerned, it's a 3-point ball game one way or the other, and it's going to easily be 2017.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Absolutely. There's a chance one of these teams doesn't even put up 13 too. There's a chance of this in a game like this. I can look at the history of this baby too, and I'm pretty sure I'll go right now. I'm pretty sure the under has been most of the play in this one. I'm going to bring it up right now. Covers is a great site for it. You can just go match up here.
Oh yeah, I love Covers.
Last one was over, under, over, under. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Different situation now that Tennessee has a defense. I like the under.
It's interesting. The last 4 times that Georgia went into Knoxville, they've won all 4 and they've come by 31 points per game. I mean, that's a stat, but I don't see that this year. I got question marks about Georgia. I still got question marks about Ohio State. The glaring stat, they beat Texas. They got outgained 336 to 203.
Well, Gunnar Stockton,
I still have questions about.
I have questions about everybody still after 2 weeks, but Gunnar Stockton is a running guy. He wasn't like really high up in the recruits. He's a running quarterback. he's going to try to play the read option deer. And if Heupel's a dumbass, he'll let it work. But it's going to just kind of chunk away yards. Georgia doesn't want to get in the Josh Heupel speed game. They're going to try to limit possessions as much as possible. So I just, I considered do I buy back on Georgia because of everything I just told you? No, let's just take the under. Let's just take the under. I think that if Georgia covers, I think it's because they probably won by a little margin and Tennessee didn't score much, which is very possible. Of course I can lose both, but I got us +7, and that's what I gave out. So let's hope that we're right. Let's go to another big game this week, and you can pick one as you want too, Tone. There's a lot of those weird spots. Oklahoma at Temple, because Oklahoma's got Auburn on deck. Well, see, Oklahoma actually came off a big game against Michigan, but guess what? Oklahoma was favored. So is it really a letdown when you're favored by 6 points, 5 points?
No.
It's not. It's like
that Mateer's the real deal.
I think that it got too low for me. Temple's 21.5 now. This thing was at 26, 27. Look at how far this went down. They're begging you for Oklahoma money. I'll tell you this: this hits 21. I'll be buying Oklahoma. Wisconsin versus
I kind of like Arkansas against Ole Miss.
Yeah, sure.
Getting 7.
Why not?
Getting a full touchdown. Lane Kiffin, I'm telling you, you can't count on the guy to coach a game. You can't. And they're not Dart, all those running backs they had last year. They brought in a bunch of new guys. Does he bring them in on the portal and pay him money? Hell yeah, he does.
Sure.
But that game against Kentucky was sloppy. I like Arkansas's coach. I think +7's too. I think Ole Miss wins that by 3.
Yeah. No shocker to me, my friend.
And Ohio State's got their first road game, and Washington on deck. And Ohio U, they beat the hell out of the MAC teams all the time. They always play 1 or 2 of them in the pre-conference schedule. But Ohio's got another good team. They beat West Virginia last week. They played Rutgers within 3 points. They were way down and came back in that game. They played 6 good quarters of football. Ohio State, what's your objective? With a road game at Washington is going to be sneaky tough this year.
Well, they get a bye before it. They do have a bye before it.
Yeah, what's your objective? Get out of there healthy.
Oh, yeah. Get
out of there healthy. That's probably what LSU did last week against Louisiana Tech. Hey, guess what we're going to do? We're going to run the ball. We're going to throw some control passes. We're just going to get out of here at the win. I don't think Brian Kelly gives a rat's ass about the point spread, and I don't think Ryan Day does either. I mean, if you're talking beer money, beer bet burger banger type thing, those are 2 dogs.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that, my friend. We'll get to that. What about this Friday game, Kansas State? They're begging for Kansas State money after what we saw the last 3 weeks, and I think I might be buying Kansas State. Arizona's terribly coached. I don't like Brett Brennan, man. I don't think he was good at San Jose State. And Kansas State is in you better win or get your ass kicked right the hell out of you. Run freaking 50 ladders every day of the they have to win this game. You have to.
What happened to Avery Johnson?
Well, I think he's got head problems.
He looked like a deer in the headlights. I watched that entire Army game. He looked like a deer in the headlights.
Army's a shitty team to schedule.
They got beat by Tarleton State.
I'll tell you this, man. If you're a program, don't schedule Army. Don't schedule Navy. It's a team you don't want to deal with. The trenches just beat you up. It makes you shitty for next game. Don't schedule. And here's the thing: we love it.
Everybody, they don't lose players in the portal. They're all together. Army's got a bunch of returners. The quarterback's tough. Johnson looked like dog shit against Iowa State. And he got confused last week. They looked like they weren't ready to play. And that coach for K-State's pretty good, but he got his ass coached off in that game.
He sure did.
That wasn't a last-second win.
And Klieman doesn't really get coached
K-State on the road. Are you going to lay points on the road with them on Friday night on a short week?
It's pick 'em -115 right now, but I think it's going to get better. I think it'll be +100 or so by the time this game kicks off, +110. Like I said, Tony, there's not a big slate on Friday here. I don't think I'm going to make it a contest play or anything. But this is. I mean, Kansas State. They have better players than Arizona minus Fafita. And what has Arizona done? They beat Hawaii when Hawaii was playing without a quarterback. They tried to start the guy, he couldn't even move. They were better off playing the guy from last week. And then they play Weber
look
State.
at who they won 2 games, though, and they played Weber State. But look at this. They've won their 2 games like they should, 88-9 combined total. That's what they should have played. They played 2 shitty teams. They should have beat them 88-9. Again, what do we have? We don't know.
We don't know.
What
I do know is that the coach is better still at Kansas State, in my opinion. And that's what I'd be betting on. I'm betting a coach with his back against the wall that, guess what? They're not out of it. They lost 1 Big 12 game. Army doesn't count as a loss if you're trying to get to the playoffs. You just need to win the Big 12 championship. Season starts now for Kansas State. I'm just looking at it. I think it's a great game to quick discuss. Wisconsin, Alabama. I'm not betting Wisconsin. I think they can get crushed. I might go Alabama first half because Wisconsin hasn't seemed to waken up until second halves of these games.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I don't even like Wisconsin in the second half either because Alabama's still feeling that Florida State loss. This is a good get off the hump resume beat. Because they can use a bad Wisconsin team to pretend Wisconsin's better. Because you can hang
that on the wall. We beat Wisconsin by 36.
Yeah, because Wisconsin was a good program until Fickle came in, and he needs this.
I told you that was a bad hire last year too. By the way, you didn't believe me.
Oh, I did too. I said I don't know. Come on, Tony, quit putting words in my mouth. Michigan against Central Michigan. I mean, I think I would go team total under with Central Michigan if anything. I don't think Michigan's going to let them score after last week. Texas Tech minus 23.5 against Oregon State. Did Oregon State quit? That's the question. It's rare to see them quit, but like against Fresno State, losing like that, and then start at 0-2, and you're not a Power 4 program no more. And that quarterback doesn't even want to be there. He transferred from Duke.
They look like they're uninspired. I took them week 1. They got their ass kicked.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I did too.
Was it Fresno State? Was that who it was?
No, last week they lost to Fresno. First week they lost to Cal. Cal kicked their ass. Cal came in and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, Cal. Because Cal was replacing everybody. Their best wide receiver is playing for Nebraska. I'm just saying I could not believe that. And so I'm trying to figure out who's a bigger disappointment the first 2 weeks. That Oregon State falling that far or Oklahoma State falling that far.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, Oklahoma State is just sell. They couldn't. I watched a quarter and a half of that Oregon game, which I couldn't watch it anymore. It was so embarrassing. And obviously, I'm a Nebraska fan, Big 12 for 30 years. Trust me, Big 8, Big 12, we played them all the time. I always hated Okie State. They always gave us fits. Never a big fan, but that's sad what's going on there. That Gundy's, T. Boone Pickens ain't going to put up with this much longer.
Yep. No. Yeah. What about this game? There's a couple more. Minnesota is in a weird spot at Cal, minus 2.5 at Cal. What a stinky line that is. Minnesota's look good.
Fleck will be rowing that boat. He just has.
They've been looking good. The rowing boat's been looking good.
He wins games like that, man. He wins. Under. Yeah. What's the total on that?
I just knew it by memory. Let me look. California.
Oh, I was going to say it's
the last game. It's the last game of the night, which is huge.
Yeah.
And the total, last FBS versus FBS, 43.5. That's how low that thing is. Jesus.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be under.
I would still go under, but I'm not doing it. It's like maybe 44.5, but not this number. It's below the peak 44.
It'd be I'd ride and die with Minnesota. I'm not going to play Cal.
Yeah,
they played a shitty Oregon State team and looked good, but Oregon State's bad.
Well, money came in on Cal. It's 1.5. Now this is going to be a chasing game for everybody. After they get all liquored up, they'll be chasing this one. And but you'll still be watching Air Force against Utah State. Well, I will too. So that's
I
gonna
will.
be fun. That's
I
gonna be
will.
good.
I'll be texting you, so stay awake.
What's the? I think Kentucky blows away Eastern Michigan. It's back to 24.5. They're bringing the backup quarterback Bully, but he's a huge dude. He's like 6'5". I hate Calzada. I don't think he's any good anyway. The backup quarterback has bad stats so far, so I just I think Kentucky doesn't let them score. I think Eastern Michigan is almost in that Akron, Kent State. We didn't talk about A&M Notre Dame. We didn't talk about it. Oh, we did a little bit in the beginning, but it's 6.5 now. I don't want anything to do with this game, to be honest with you.
I don't know. That's the theme of my appearance today on the OddsBreakers podcast. I don't know. I don't know for sure on Georgia, Tennessee. Where they at?
Well, you should have told me. I would have got a different guess.
I don't.
Just kidding.
I don't know about four. Well, some of these are all coin flip games you're bringing up.
People need to be told
Notre
that they
Dame,
don't know, and that's what bankroll management's about. It's like, don't just jump in shit to jump in shit. If you don't know, you don't know.
That's why I'm taking mid-tier games I got a better read on.
Yeah, consistent quarterback play. CJ Carr's brand new. It's like
and people that are running for 200 and throwing for 200 that have consistency on offense and eat clock and move chains against teams that have weaknesses on defense. Those are the type of plays that I'm going after.
I don't disagree.
I'm not these marquee games. I'll put them out on free plays for you all day long because everybody wants to bet them. The value is not in Tennessee, Georgia. The value is not laying 9.5 with LSU, although they should whoop their ass. If that game ended, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, find the mid-tier games. Texas A&M, in that game, I can only take the points in that game. I can only take points in that game.
Yep.
What's Notre Dame proven to you? What's that quarterback proven to you? What has he proven to you? To lay 7 points against an SEC team. I know they're under touchdown Jesus here. I get it, but I got news for you. A&M's not going to go quietly in the night.
No,
their quarterback.
They're not.
They're good.
And I'm not betting on the freshman, even at home. You know what? And it's a great spot for them, but it's Texas A&M. They're in a revenge spot from last year too. I don't want nothing to do with this game. Here's the last game before Beer Bet Bangers. Here's an ugly line too. Pitt versus West Virginia. West Virginia is a 7-point dog. Well, they lost their best receiver and best running back for one. They look like shit. And I bet Ohio and some money line last week. Plus 3.5. It was my best bet. And they hit. But that doesn't mean, and Pitt's coming off this massive blowout, right? So everyone's like, Pitt. Oh, only side for me is freaking West Virginia. I am not sure if I can get there, but I'm telling you, my numbers tell me to get there. I don't
Morgantown.
It's in Morgantown.
That is one of the worst road trips to make. You got to fly to Pittsburgh, get on a bus, go 2 hours down there. I've made that road trip. Morgantown's snake pit.
I'm gonna look at this.
Rich Rodriguez, is he? He's in the middle of a total rebuild.
Oh yeah, but he brought in a lot of guys on that winning Jacksonville State team. And don't get me wrong; these are 2-star, 3-star guys. But Central Michigan only put 210 yards up. And Pittsburgh put on a lot more. Central Michigan went in and beat, I think, Fresno the first week or somebody.
Yeah,
they whipped somebody, and so that's why Pitt's getting credited with the bigger win. But dude, it's still West Virginia did get kind of screwed in that game against Ohio. There's a pass that they called incomplete and reviewed it, and the review showed he had possession before he went out of bounds, and I was like, these refs should not be correcting their own homework. Of course, they're going to pretend that they're freaking right. I was on the other side. I'm actually voting for the side that would beat my bet, but I just got to call spade a spade here, man. I believe that the refs blew that, and I'm gonna. You know what? I'm just gonna watch it. Maybe I don't think it gets 7.5, but it's on my radar to bet. Beer bet bangers time, my friend. We can go a lot of different directions here. I'm just going to make it easy and take a dog this week because, I've got enough future play, and I guess I can look at TCU if I wanted to, but I'm not. Let's go with a dog that I like. and you already kind of mentioned a couple of yours already.
Yeah.
I'll just stick with Vandy. We'll go with Vandy a little bit. Vandy, put some beer money on Vandy at plus 160 to win. You can probably shop that around a little bit. Let's look at FanDuel. Maybe it's 170 there or something. I like Vandy to win the game just because I trust that quarterback. And yeah, it's 158 on FanDuel. And I think it's a situation where, it's going to come down in the last second. It's going to be Pavia. I'll take Pavia first in this situation. I don't like going A plus B is C because one team looked bad against Virginia Tech. I mean, to be honest with you, Vandy did look bad against Virginia Tech the first half, but then they just blew them away the second half when they got confidence. I think if you want South Carolina, you bet the first half, but I think this is also a good live betting spot for Vandy. I'll take Vandy plus 160 for my beer bet banger. What about you?
Colgate. What's Syracuse doing laying 37 to anybody? That's a Friday night lights game. Yeah. I'm going to put Syracuse can't do anything. Give me Colgate plus the 37.5.
Yep. Colgate plus the 37.5. What the hell? That is are you talking money line?
No. I'm talking point spread.
Okay, so your beer bet banger will be points. Okay, you know what? We'll accept it. That's a big enough spread off. Here's the thing.
That's a big spread. That's bigger than Miami, Ohio U. That's almost 40 points.
It's almost like playing basketball, college basketball. Colgate.
If you and I were betting a 12-pack, we're standing there, and I go, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you Syracuse on Friday night for this case of Bud Light, but here's what I'm going to do. You're going to have to spot me blind, no matter who they play. You got to spot me 38 points. You would never do it. And I'm throwing Colgate in there, 37.5. That'll be up to 38 by kickoff.
Yep. Up to 38, my friend. That'll be at least. And how can you bet on Syracuse after what you saw? I got to look into Colgate a little bit more. What's great for that is Sagarin, because he has a good rating on all these FCS teams. And, Colgate's actually not in the bottom. They're 217. But how bad is Syracuse? 46, and this is a 40-point spread. It's going to be 40. Yeah. I don't disagree with you. 47, 76. Yeah. I mean, even Sagarin says to make that bet. So there you go. Well, there you have it, Tony. Great stuff. Love talking pigskin with you, my friend.
I'll miss you, brother. We had a good time out in Vegas.
Great time.
Always fun. We exchanged a lot of ideas. We got a lot of great information at the panel for the NFL.
Mm-hmm. We always show up.
We always show up. We've been there 4 years in a row together. It's nice to interact with the Derek Stevens and the Mike Palms of the world and meet some great people. Had a good time. Sean was there. Your buddy Sean just texted me. He's coming to Kansas City in November.
That's what I hear.
Well, he wants me to, obviously I got to host him at some beer joints and some barbecue joints. So, apparently I've got to subsidize his trip, but I'd feel bad. You come to town, I got to buy. So nonetheless, but some great people out there with you in Las Vegas as always. And wish everybody good luck this weekend. Find me at DocSports.com. Daily free plays on YouTube. Just Doc Sports in the search bar at YouTube. We've got all kinds of shows and free plays every day. So be sure and come give us a visit.
Make sure you check out Tony George, the man at Doc Sports. Tony will be texting this weekend. Best of luck to you.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Now it is time for
the Sharp Side of the Force.
Sharp Side of the Force is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. For an up to $1,000 sign-up bonus, please visit this podcast description. Click on the link. Terms, conditions, location apply. All right. Sharp College Football Week 3 movement as of Wednesday. Sharp sides. Alabama minus 19 and minus 20.5 hosting Wisconsin. 50% of tickets, 92% of the money. Sharp Miami Temple plus 26.5 down to plus 21.5. Hosting Oklahoma. 66% of the tickets and 89% of the money. Sharp Miami Texas Tech minus 21 to minus 24.5. Hosting Oregon State. 42% of the tickets, 95% of the money. Sharp Miami USF plus 18.5 to plus 17.5 at Miami. 41% of the tickets and 71% of the money, but lots to come in. East Carolina -4 to -7.5 at Coastal Carolina. What a big move. 82% of the tickets and 82% of the money. Sharp totals. NC State versus Wake Forest under 56.5 to 52.5. 97% of the tickets and 98% of the money. And lots of unders this week, my friends. I think everyone's just blanketing the unders. New Mexico versus UCLA under 55.5 to 52.5. 98% of the tickets, 99% of the money. Clemson versus Georgia Tech under 58 down to 53. 90% of the tickets and 85% of the money. Could have been the game of the year line. Ohio versus Ohio State under 54.5 to 52. 99% of the tickets and 99% of the money. And Florida versus LSU under 54.5 to 48.5. 83% of the tickets and 83% of the money. All right, to recap, my friends. We're going to go with Georgia Tech plus the 3.5. We're going with over 58.5 for FAU versus FIU. We're going LSU minus 7.5, even though I got it at 9.5. That's what the current number is. And I'm actually fading. Me and Tony are against, and I already gave out Utah State plus 4.5. He's on the opposite, so do what you want with that. But I'm going to count it as a play, and I'm also counting under for Georgia, Tennessee, under 49.5. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We're going to be back tomorrow. Talk some NFL. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and go get some winners.